So hi, welcome to Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with...
I'm Chris.
And I'm Liam from Windwaker.
And we're some questions today about the upcoming album, Hyperviolence. Congrats on that, by the way. How do you guys feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Pretty good. We're really excited to have this one come out because we've been sitting on it for a little while now. We've had it finished. So yeah, it's very exciting to kind of see the reception and see the anticipation for its release. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
The response has been absolutely wild to the singles so far. Everyone seems really, really hyped on the new songs and the directions we're going in, and it's just really cool to see. And our initial announcement was just massive and bigger than anything we've had before. So we're super stoked.
Yeah, the responses seemed awesome so far. I mean, you guys have your first US tour coming up as well, which is very exciting. But we've been following you guys for a while. We had Indy on the podcast to chat about the last record, so stoked to be here chatting with you guys. This album was fucking awesome.
Immaculate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
The cover art, I think, it came through. It was a lot of different. There was a lot of different permeations of the artwork and how it was going to relate to the themes. I was talking about this with another person, how there is a connection there to Love Language, but it's not like this is a sequel or anything. It's not connected in that sort of regard. I guess it's more with what the band was going through at the time, with like a lineup change, and kind of on one hand reassuring our audience that you know that we were still like the same band that they had fallen in love with on the last record and the records before that. But it was more so there was some level of like stylistic art kind of choices that were similar, but I think really the connection to Love Language is more in terms of us trying to refine maybe what we'd learned or what we'd explored on that previous record. You know, as far as what the actual image means, conceptually, the album is about sort of this position that I find myself in when it comes to the personality in which, you know, it feels authentic to me, versus a personality that's either been thrusted upon me due to like external factors or just what's expected of me. And sort of that grind between the two, sort of almost like a conversation between an introvert and an extrovert. And it's within the one host. So the imagery for me was to kind of almost create some level of like damage that's happening to a person. Something's being taken away from them. And that sort of was relating to, identity in a way, and so maybe a loss of identity due to some external damaging force. Yeah.
Gotcha. It all ties together now that you explain it. I see the vision you were going for.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably the best way I've been able to explain it thus far.
That was wonderful.
So
I'm better than ever.
So can you guys tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
Oh, okay. Well, you know, the first couple of songs we wrote quite a while ago, back when Will was still in the band, and we've obviously a lot has changed since then. And there's still a couple little remnants of that, but we really sort of came in and started fresh with a new lineup. And the first week that we were writing all together, we did a whole week. We like to block out full weeks at least, normally, to do writing together. We might all noodle on little ideas together, but that first week we had everyone stay in at my house. We just literally put mattresses all over the floor, just so we could work around the clock and keep everyone together and keep the vibes there. And it just happened so organically. We just had so much fun that week. It was gonna be one of the most fun writing weeks we've ever done, and we just busted out some of our absolute best tracks. You know, Break the Rules came out of that week. Villain came out of that week. A couple other really, really fun tracks on the album that aren't out yet came from that week. And we really just hit the ground running then, I think. And we've really since then just tried to keep that energy going.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as like the process goes, like I think the formula that we sort of came, you know, or at least consistently sort of happened with that was that there would be a a song idea that would start with one member. And it, that might be, say, for example, The Wall. So Jesse, our guitarist, started that song, and he also started Break the Rules, two sort of polar opposite songs. And what happened was that might be presented, in a handful of demos. There might be 5 or 7 of them, and we'll sort of resonate with 1 or 2 in particular, and then the rest of the band will come in. I'll sort of be starting to think about, what sort of song this makes me feel like it's about, like a concept. And then we'll start fleshing out sort of the structure, maybe working out what sort of electronic parts and how we can transition through, all these different sections. And then I'll be sort of texting in my phone some notes of lyrics, and yeah, it'll sort of all become this big gumbo pot of just influences and different avenues that we can kind of take. But that's kind of like the formula we sort of landed on with this album, just like it starts with one person, and we've all got different influences individually, so they're all going to permeate from just like a very different idea each time, which is why we get such different results. So,
and every time some bands like to write a full song instrumentally and then add vocals. For us, I think it's really important to us that we have the vocals come together with the song, and the direction of the song comes from where the vocals are taking it as well. Because it's the most important part to me, probably to a lot of people.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm curious, like, when the process for you guys started and then like when it ended. So when you guys started writing the record and then when it was finished recording, mixed, mastered, yada yada.
You talk about the start of it, Chris, because you were there for it. I wasn't.
There was a couple of the earliest songs probably came from literally before Love Language had even come out. We were probably already starting to write some demos for the new record, but there's a few remnants of that, like I said. But it was January last year that we had that first big writing week, and we tried to do one of those most months through the year.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the year, I was doing the final mixes on it through October, November.
Gotcha.
And I remember there being a December deadline. So, we've been sitting on it for a little bit, but not that long. We sat on Love Language for nearly 18 months, really.
Yeah, this was like
wild.
Grand total of what, 6-7 months by the time it's out? 8 maybe?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think I remember I remember the deadline being something like the 9th or 12th of December. That's when the mastering had to be submitted by. And then we just the album was basically built over like a number of just these writing weeks, as Chris is describing.
It really
was a big
came together
collection.
through 2023 from start to finish. Basically, first month to the last month with a little bit of stuff from the year before spilling over.
Makes sense.
Yeah, not too bad. So what song off this album took longest to write, and which one is each of your own personal favorite?
Ooh. I reckon maybe this. I don't know if it's the longest one that we took to write, but Break the Rules came from one of those first writing weeks. Again, that was Jesse started it, and we'd pretty much had the structure of the song, but the actual, I don't know, the sort of content of the song and the way that it transitioned and flowed took the longest to kind of get to a point where we're like, okay, it's finished now. We knew that, we had the chorus already, so we knew that it was going to be a single, and that's why we were trying to work really hard to get it to a point where we're like, okay, it's done now. But it did end up being like one of the last ones we had to finish. It was there.
The one I was going to say is the track on our album. It's not a single, called Venom, that came out about very, very first writing week. And it's probably within the band, it's had the most arguments over it, I think, about whether it was going to make it and whether it was the right track. Because it's a ballsy track. It's very, very hip hop driven. I don't know if you guys got to hear the album ahead, but Venom was always, and its earliest versions were pretty funny. Like we didn't quite know what we were doing with it. It took a lot of refining to get it right. But we tried to change it a bunch of times, but then we kept coming back to how we had it originally.
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah,
actually away from where
the
it
main
started.
section that kind of like yeah, I feel like Venom as a track was very much like a bit of a risk take
Mhm.
for us in the album. More so in the way that it's just like it's sort of a sound that hasn't been covered in this way for the band. It wasn't, I guess it probably had a lot to do with my insertion of into the song, but we had a lot of fun making it. I think that was half the argument was like, is this just a song for us because we had a lot of fun making it, we can hold on to it, or is this something that other people might want to hear? And
Yeah.
yeah, the biggest change that happened in that song was actually the middle section. We knew that we wanted to kind of have like a sort of gospel influence
Mhm.
Mhm.
to a certain extent. But the original execution of that was just not it. Until we got to where we are at now, and I feel very happy with how that section kind of transitions in and out,
Yeah.
and just offers us something completely different.
That's good. Hell yeah.
All right.
I love songs where you can hear that the band had fun making them.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have songs where I feel like we had fun making them
Mm.
always, I guess maybe it can cloud your judgment because you remember you have this association of having fun with it
Mhm.
that you think it's a really cool song and then other people are like, what the fuck is this? Um, but,
The other, yeah,
but I think that you can hear the fun in that song.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Fun
The
listen.
to answer the other part of your question, what's your favorite song from the album? I think it changes a lot. But the main front runners that I have arguments every day about we I absolutely love Tabula Rasa. I think that's one of my favorite songs, both conceptually and just in terms of execution. And I also have just a real soft spot for the song Hypnotized as well. It's not a single or anything, but I just like the way that that song flows and the overall vibe of it. The groove is really nice.
Hell yeah.
So yeah.
I'm a bit of a pop bitch, and I
No shame in that.
break the rules, and sirens still.
Mm.
But yeah, I also agree. Tabula Rasa. I think that's that song. I think we're dropping a video for it the day the album comes out, and that one's a
Mm.
little secret weapon track for us. I think
Ooh.
we feel pretty strongly about it.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener of the opener, closer be a closer? Did you shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
We had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, a
Um,
lot of shuffling.
it I don't know if I can say I could probably say this. The album was originally meant to be like 16 tracks. Like it was going to be a full 16 tracks, and we had the track listing for it. And then after a lot of discussions with our team, we did whittle away 3 songs, which we might still do something with, but at this stage, yeah, they've just been cast aside for later. And yeah, we've resulted in that 13 tracks. But I think to a certain extent we were thinking about placement as we were writing. I think there's a certain like visceral feeling that we kind of get with a song that we go, oh yeah, I could see this being the opener. And like Infinite or Infinity was a song that I know Chris had championed as the opener, and I didn't see it for the longest time until he like actually presented it to me or presented it to all of us, I should say. And then I was like, oh, there's something to this. This is a great opener. Yeah.
It kind
'Cause
of starts like a movie starts. It feels like the credits rolling like the opening credits or something to me.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think every time I heard it, I was like, oh, that should go at the start. It might not be a single, but it just felt
Mm.
like a great way to kick off.
And yeah, we just kind of experimented with how, the ends of songs transitioned into the starts of others, and we shuffled it around a bunch. And we got to a point where we were like, now this is the most this is kind of shaped in the way that we want the listening experience to be. And that's what we ended up landing on, yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
And so were those extra 3 tracks, were they completely finished, mixed, mastered, like ready to go out?
Mm.
Yeah, they were all finished.
I don't
Shit.
actually. I feel like I remember doing mix revisions on it, and maybe we didn't finish we didn't finally fully sign off on them. But I'm definitely going to go back to them and give them a bit of a refresher at some point.
Yeah.
And do something
Yeah,
with them.
we still love those songs, so
Okay, good. So was it like a last minute call that your team made saying maybe just leave it at 13?
I remember making this suggestion while we were doing the original arrangement, feeling that it was a little bit long myself, and I remember getting
Okay.
to about track 13, being like, "Is it starting to drag just a little bit? Is it
Yeah.
really are we better to section this off so that we can, you know, these other 3 tracks are a separate sit down? Like, either do we want people to try and listen to 16 tracks straight?
Yeah.
And or do we want to pull some tracks away so that people can focus on them a bit more later?
Yeah. Gotcha.
There was also a side of the band that was like fighting for a longer album title, because I was like in the middle of being obsessed with like Scissors SOS, which is like 20 tracks.
Yeah.
And then Connor's into like the Kid Leroy's new album, which is also like 19, 20 tracks.
Long.
And so there's all these like albums that are kind of cycling through our head going, nah, if they could do it, we could do it. And
Exactly.
then we're just like, oh, okay, maybe let's just kind of give us the best ones that we can, like the ones we cannot take off, you know, the crucial kind of
All
songs.
killer, no filler.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I appreciate you mentioning like that was your thought process, like going through listening, being like, at the like track 13 mark is where like I start to maybe lose a little bit of interest, because like it feels like these big artists that put out these 20 track records are just like, I do not give a fuck about the listener experience, and then they put out the most boring record of all time. So it's like I just appreciate that you guys like actually were thinking about the listener and like being like that. We have to cap it at that, and these tracks will do something for us later on down the road.
And like we've listened to these songs like 100 times each, so it's like if we're getting like to a point where we're like we'll know if it's dragging out, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's going to be more amplified in that sense for us.
Yeah,
so.
Totally.
For sure.
But the other songs that are there, I don't think there's a quality drop. Like I don't think they're up because they weren't as good. I think it's just about putting them in the right situation to listen to.
Yeah, the experience.
And a 16-track album that goes for what, nearly an hour, I think it was.
It was like 55 minutes or something.
It was
close.
Maybe not for this generation.
Not in the TikTok generation. If the album, if each song doesn't have a 30-minute or a 30-second clip that kids can be like, that's awesome, then like, is it even worth putting out? If you can't whip a nene to it, it's not worth it.
What's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. So would you guys be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating this record?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about it unless Chris, you want to jump in first.
You go.
Well, it was a bit of a journey for me, because it was like, don't know how much of the Windwaker lore you know, but I rejoined the band, and I was sort of found myself in this position where I was like thrusted at the forefront of a already established band, and with the expectations that was set by someone who was beloved before me, you know. So I think it was a bit of a journey to you know, what do I want to express in my identity? What do I want to get across? Because this is sort of like, in a way, my introduction to everybody in a lyrical or thematical sense. So yeah, I'd been going through a phase where I wasn't necessarily writing a lot of things that were like introspective, or like, you know, in the past maybe I've written about, you know, love loss or something like that. But lately I've been more focused about like external things and observations, and kind of looking at the world and how it can affect an individual, or how it can affect other people, and the way that they behave or navigate life. And I guess I was, wanting to kind of explore why people behave the way that they do, you know, why there is a strong sense of like flashy confidence when it comes to certain music and entertainment, and like what that does for other people, whether that motivates them to, you know, aspire to be that sort of way in themselves, or whether that's actually being kind of destructive, and kind of getting people to behave in a way that's sort of inauthentic. So that was kind of the journey I was going through just within myself. I was I'm not a big, metal head. I mean, I love heavy metal music. We obviously make it. But, you know, my interests lie in things like hip hop, if you see my necklace and stuff like that. So I was trying to kind of apply, you know, my interests into like a square hole sort of thing. It was like a circle peg into a square hole, but I mean, it works. And The best of the band were very supportive of me and my explorations throughout the recording of this album. But I think this was almost like us getting to get comfortable with each other again after so many years. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think there was something about this album that I felt like we were constantly adapting a little bit to change, I guess. Obviously new lineup, new vocalist in the middle of the album as well. Our guitarist Jesse started touring with Polaris as well. So there's a lot of sessions we were doing without him. And, I'm the drummer, I play guitar as well, and I produce, but I sort of had to pick up the guitar and go, okay, maybe I need to write a few more riffs as well. And
Yeah.
really
There was
constantly changing and adapting to our circumstances and the environment around us. And
that's
it
a
wasn't
really
just
interesting
start to
thing
finish.
that you're saying there, like that was definitely the forefront of how we were feeling at the start of this process. It wasn't like there's no, bad blood or anything, or any negative energy towards Will, but I think there was like a big sense of loss that was had collectively. We felt like we were mourning the band, and the future of the band felt uncertain at the start of the process. It wasn't until we got to making songs like Sirens and Break the Rules that we thought, okay, there's actually like we're okay, and we're definitely getting a lot more comfortable. But yeah, I think at that first stages, we were kind of feeling a lot of a mixture of emotions. We're feeling a lot of anger. We're feeling a lot of sadness. We're feeling kind of a weird sense of betrayal in a way. I don't want to go as far as to speak on it for everybody else's experience, but like there was a mixture of quite bubbling emotions that were happening at the start of that,
There's
and the
definitely this
uncertainty.
Yeah.
there's definitely this like, holy shit, can we still make this thing work? It was so much change had happened. It's like, are we the same band? Can we still do what we used to do? I think we
Yeah.
definitely found that we can. And I feel like even with all of the changes, the soul of what makes Wind Waker has definitely stayed intact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What gave you guys like when it feels like everything is falling down around you, and the future of the band is kind of in jeopardy? Like, what gave you guys the motivation to kind of keep going and push through and finish this record?
My
I
short
don't
answer
know.
is each other.
Yeah.
I'd say each other. Like the just the collective goal of like, they've asked me to come to audition to come back into this band, like we've got these tours or obligations that that are coming up that we need to fulfill. And it's just sort of like, all right, well, we've just got to do it. And yeah, using each other as a way of kind of it being like we do it anyway when it's right. Like we're inspired by each other when we're writing. So it's like to be motivated to still stay committed to each other because the other one's just as committed to you. It's like that's kind of my short answer to that question.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Chris.
Sure. I mean, I was just I was gonna say, I also don't know how to do anything else, to be honest. Music is everything
too.
that I do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think giving up on that was ever an option. And as Liam said, sort of, we were quickly very inspired by each other, and everyone started really working together to make it work and to make it happen. And I just think when you want something enough, you can generally pull through.
Hell yeah, I love that. So how do you guys recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should do in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is workout album, party album? What do you guys personally recommend?
I'm always a huge supporter of like active listening when it comes to an album, which is kind of, I guess, maybe excuse me, it kind of feeds into my like addiction and love for vinyl collecting or record collecting. I feel like that inhibits like an active listening experience for me. So yeah, if it's for anybody out there, if it's headphones and Spotify, that's cool too. But I love listening to music at nighttime. I like listening to music on drives and stuff like that, and anything that's kind of like gives you that kind of full experience, but maybe just in a way that doesn't fully distract you away from the actual listening experience, because there's a lot of things in there. There's a lot of things to unpack. So yeah, I would love for people to kind of be able to absorb a lot of it on the
Hell yeah.
first time. But
I've also had really good, like just a few key albums in my formative years. I just remember I did just sit down with friends and listen to them, and having like this group listening sort of session. You can sort of bounce off each other's excitement and be like, "Oh shit, look what they did there!" Like
Yeah. Yeah.
sort of energy is really fun too. A lot of when we were making it and it was coming together, we were doing these writing sessions and getting to the end of it and then going, okay, let's listen through as a group. And I'd love for people to get to share a little bit of that feeling that we got then when we got to listen together and see how it all fit.
Hell yeah.
yeah.
So this one should be super, super quick off the top of your heads. I want you guys to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. 3 words each, 6 total, no more, no less.
Oh God, you go first.
Damn. 30 the
All right,
wolves.
I've got 2 of the 3 words.
Okay.
But I'm trying to think of the third one. I would say controlled chaos fun.
Hell yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
You took 2 of my words.
Damn it.
That's why you always got to go first.
Yeah, that's your fault,
yeah.
bro.
I think I was going to say chaotic. I'm going to count that as a different word.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Chaotic, yet basic as well.
Okay.
And
I call us so basic.
yeah, but and experimental,
There you
which
go.
is kind of the same as the
Okay.
first word.
Okay.
Not a very
I was
good
gonna
answer.
say, they're,
But
like,
my
clashing a
point
bit.
being that it's got all of the experimentation, but it's also got I have the most basic taste in music at the same time, where I just love a good pop chorus and a
Yeah.
good hook, and it's
Experimental, catchy, and fun.
Mhm.
There you go.
Beautiful.
I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
infinitely better than what I said.
So can you guys talk about any particularly challenging or standout moments from the creation of this record, positive or negative?
Challenging. Well, I think this is like a good time to sort of talk about sort of my journey with screaming as a vocalist, because that was not something that I did prior to rejoining. It was something that, like, this album has almost taken me the process to learn and get to a point where I'm like, all right, well, I'm on my way now. So that was certainly a challenge from the start, because we were essentially like cooking my voice from the very beginning of like learning how to scream. But so that was definitely something we were trying to learn how to what the process was for me and Chris when we were recording the screams, like how loud does it need to be? And I mean, like, Chris has had that experience from recording other vocalists, but how that applies to me as an individual and my voice, I think we spent a lot of time, going over and retracking and coming back a different day and trying something new, and then also all the self-directed learning that I had to sort of do in between all of that. That was probably like my biggest challenge that I had to overcome.
That was
making
definitely
this
a
album.
really cool journey where at the start, we were doing these sessions working on it and we're trying to record these parts, and then we'd go way too hard on it and cook Liam's voice in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it just it took us, and I don't know, I feel like we did, like, obviously Liam, that's all of the credit goes to Liam, but we sort of did have this journey together with it as well, where I was I was finding spots where I'd hear this sound and be like, oh, that sounds like you're pushing too hard. Pull it back a little bit. And I just really tried to sort of help along that journey as well.
Yeah, Chris was a good coach.
We had some people,
Awesome.
a couple of people help us along the way as well there.
Oh yeah.
It was very, very, it was a very big journey, and we were recording the songs as we were going. So there's some songs on the album that we recorded early last year, early into that journey. And then there's ones we recorded right at the end. So I wonder if you probably can't hear that much of the journey, because I feel like even when we were recording early, we were getting good takes, but we might only get a few of them.
Yeah.
We'd have to stop. Whereas by the end, you were doing full days of screaming and coming back in
through
the next day, and that was such a fun little journey that it'd be interesting to see how we go on the next one. now because I feel
Yeah.
like you're pretty dialed in there. So now we're gonna have to do something different. We're
Do
gonna start
crazier stuff now.
a new
Yeah.
journey with it now.
Fuck
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. So for this question, I want you guys to picture you're on tour. You're at a gas station for a rest stop. You're going in. What is your snack of choice?
Ooh.
Mhm.
Australia or in America?
Both.
In Australia, straight up Milo Kit Kat. Not
Oh
not even
yeah.
Okay.
Do you
Milo
guys know
Kit
what
Kat.
Milo is over in the States?
No, you said Kit Kat, right? Milo
Yeah.
Kit Kat?
So yeah, Kit Kat did a collaboration with I think it's just an exclusively an Australian drink, but it's sort of like a chocolate malt sort of powder that you would mix
Oh,
in with milk. It would dissolve into like milk, and you could
yeah.
either have it hot or cold.
Hmm.
That was sort of their marketing for it. They could
Like
get
a
two
hot
different
chocolate
audience.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
chocolate
So
powder.
they did a collaboration. They did a collaboration with Kit Kat. And the result of it is effing delicious.
Fucking cracked. It's so
Yeah,
good.
it's amazing. I definitely second some sort of Kit Kat variety.
Damn right.
In Australia, I think yeah, like the pie, like the meat pie sausage roll
Oh
thing is
god.
probably no.
I mean,
You're shaking your head,
Oh
Chris.
my
You're like,
God.
talking,
Crazy
but that's
reaction.
all you.
I'm a bit of a potato crisp man, I think. I think if I was to stop at a gas station, I'd probably likely just pick up some sort of packet of like kettle chips or something.
Kettle. Damn
Maybe
right.
that's a bit boring or something.
No.
Can we
Classic.
come back to the America one?
Yeah.
Next
Yeah,
time
we've never been.
ask us again, and when we've gone there and spent 5 weeks going into gas stations, every day,
Oh,
then I will have a really solid answer. But I don't know what's gonna happen yet.
I'll say
That's
my prediction at the moment may be like some sort of bodega sandwich, like I don't know, like a chopped cheese or something like that. I mean, that's very
cheese.
specific to New York or something. I don't know.
That is, yeah.
I'm just thinking of like there's probably some sort of bodega sandwich or something out there that I
We got
probably would pick
Wawa.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a Wawa?
Oh my
No, you-
God.
Yeah, please.
It is so East
Share.
Coast, right? It's
Yep,
my
yep.
favorite. So Sheetz versus Wawa. They're both like gas station. Oh, that's embarrassing. They're both gas station like food places. They serve like a variety of shit, like I don't know, burgers, chicken nuggets. I usually get a hoagie, which is just like a sub,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Shane gets like what, you get like a fucking wrap or something?
No, I get the veggie hoagie because I'm vegan, so there's not much I can eat at any of these
Yeah.
places. But it's just
Right.
like, you've got your typical gas station food, and then they've got a quick service where you go up to a tablet and you pick from the menu and order whatever you want. They
Cool.
have
Exactly.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner options.
Hmm.
Well,
Coffee
I've got
shop.
there's a lot of sandwiches that I want to try over there. A lot involving hoagies, like cheesesteaks, for example.
Damn
And
right, yep.
yeah, all that stuff. So maybe we can revisit this question when we've come back from the States for
Yeah,
the first
we'll
time. and
catch
I'm
up. We'll
maybe like
catch up
10
when you
kilos
guys come
heavier.
back, and we'll just
Yeah.
stitch this in.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna have like 3 chins for the next interview. It's gonna be great.
Hoagie in hand. Yeah.
Hoagie in hand. And
He's gonna
grease
be
coming
wearing
down the
Bucky's
side.
Oh, yeah,
merch.
yeah. Oh my
Are you guys
God.
coming out to a show?
Maybe
I need to look
Philly.
at the dates. Are you guys coming to Virginia? I'm awful with Shane's always the one who tells me
Ooh,
they're
I
not
think
going
we
to
might-
Virginia.
We might be going
I-
to the DMV. Let me suss.
It's like
We are
DC.
going to Charlotte,
Yeah.
so
Char-
that's probably
oof.
going to be the closest.
Yeah, they
That's 5
got.
hours
Um,
away from me.
Yeah, no. All right. Actually,
trip.
Washington. Yeah, it's probably still going to be too far away from you, but I guess the Baltimore show would probably be.
Yeah, that's like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do. I have to talk
There
some
you
people
go.
into it.
Yeah.
You can introduce us to some cool snacks.
Yeah, damn right. I'll get you my hoagie
Yeah,
order.
we'll do some, yeah. We'll go get hoagies.
Hell yeah.
And-
Hell yeah.
For the last couple questions, going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So, if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
All right. I think the drink's going to have to be like some sort of milkshake, right? I think Chris and I are both going to be in agreement that the last drink that we have will be some sort of milkshake, right?
Oh, my head went somewhere else actually, and I was like, I think my last meal would be like okonomiyaki with a beer,
Okay.
Yeah. Not bad.
with like a
Yeah,
real
actually-
like, cold, refreshing beer.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I could definitely smash a beer as my last drink, like some sort of crafty, punchy, hoppy beer. As far as the food goes, I feel like I'd be pandering if I said something like a chicken and waffles or something, but I don't know. This is just something like about like a decadent meal as your last meal, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got too many food options. Actually no, I changed my answer.
Okay.
I want a Detroit square pizza. I
Okay.
want like
Okay.
where every yeah, that's it. Because every piece is a corner piece.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
Perfect.
good.
that's what I'm getting.
All right.
Yeah.
And if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
One Piece for me.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
the anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon I would want to live in. What do I want? I'm just gonna go like South Park or something like that. Yeah, I'll go down to South Park, go to
Damn
Colorado.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And now I've gone over asking the last question. Every single person we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
I consistently answer with purple.
Purple's good.
Good color.
Red.
Red is also good.
color. Mhm.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you guys would like to plug?
Well, yeah, we've got an album coming out, Hyperviolence, on July the 12th. We'll be starting our first time over in North America, a tour. I think we're starting, what is it, the 21st of June, I think.
Cattle. Yeah.
Starting
21st.
on Portland, I think we're starting in.
Oh, Portland. Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Portland.
Nice.
And we'll be touring all the way through June and July. So yeah, grab a copy ticket, pre-save the album, and I think that's pretty much it as far as things that we've got going on at the moment.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you for silence, guys. Been Chris and Liam from Windwaker, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.